rukurahe n'inkuru twase kuba n'urusuzumuza bigarama ikaba indatwara urushayana
Hi, I'm Felicia Thompson, and welcome to the Land of a Thousand Hills. Today we are going to Rwanda by way of my wonderful classmate Frida Kasembe. When I first met Frida and learned that she was from Rwanda, I realized I knew nothing about her country besides the movie Hotel Rwanda. So I asked Frida here today to share the brighter side of her country. Hi, Frida.
Hello,
How
Felicia.
are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Welcome.
Great to be here.
I am so fascinated to learn about Rwanda because, like I mentioned in the intro, I knew nothing about your country other than it was a small country in Africa and the movie that Don Cheadle played in. What can you tell us about Rwanda?
I can start because many people know the negative side of Rwanda. I can start by saying that Rwanda is now very positive. Rwanda is peaceful right now.
Mm-hmm.
We are not fighting. What people saw in Hotel Rwanda is our history, and we'll like for it to remain that, just a distant history. It's our past, but right now Rwanda is peaceful. We're not fighting with our neighbors. We're not fighting within the countries. Actually, it's very hard to believe, but Rwanda is now one of the safest countries in the world. Safest countries in the world.
That is terrific.
Yeah.
But just to give a brief back history, let's tell our viewers who may not know about the turmoil that Rwanda was in a few years ago. Can you just give us a little back history? What was the problems with in your country when Hotel Rwanda was made?
What happened? What happened was the genocide in 1994. We had about 800,000 people got killed. Going too deep about that really is not something we're trying to focus in. We're trying to move ahead, kind of put that into our past, just think about it. We don't want to forget about it, but we don't want to focus on that right now. We are focusing on the positive. So we want people not to forget Hotel Rwanda. Watch it so you can learn what happened to Rwanda, but don't focus on that. Just focus on what we are doing right now.
Well, that's wonderful. Tell our viewers where Rwanda is actually located.
Rwanda is located on the central part of Africa, but we're more towards the east. So you can say Rwanda is East Central Africa.
Okay. How many people live in Rwanda now?
Our population is now a little bit over 10 million. So
10 million?
Yeah.
Now, I looked at a map before we began taping, and Rwanda, I'm going to use my fingers, Rwanda is about this big.
Yes.
And other parts in Africa is about this big.
Yes, small but beautiful. We're
Right.
very small but very pretty country, very beautiful.
Now, tell us why Rwanda is called a land of a thousand hills.
The name says it all. Rwanda is very hilly.
Okay.
We have a lot of hills. Almost everywhere you go in the country, you have to be climbing up and, descending, you're going down. So that's why it's called that. It's very hilly.
Now, what is the weather like? Because it's winter here in Maryland or in America. What is it like in Rwanda this time of the year?
This time is cold, relatively cold, but of course if you compare it to winter here, nothing to compare. Rwanda never gets cold beyond 54 degrees Fahrenheit. That's as cold as it can get. And then in the summer, what we consider summer in Rwanda, it gets as hot as about 81 degrees Fahrenheit. So it really doesn't get very cold or very hot.
Okay, well, that's
compared
awesome.
to America, really, it's almost like spring-like weather.
Oh, that's
throughout the year.
terrific.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
But if you're a person who is to travel to Rwanda, the best time to really go is between May and October. That's when it's dry. Because the country is very hilly, we get a lot of rain. So that is the period really you want to go to Rwanda, where it's very dry. You're not likely to be stuck in the mud anywhere. You know, that's the best time, and the temperature is very comfortable during that time as well.
Now, if I were to travel to Rwanda, how long would it take me to get there by plane?
It will depend on the route, but usually it's about maximum 20 hours.
20 hours.
Yes, yeah, but it can
Wow.
be 16. It's between 16 and 20 hours. Again, depends on the flight and the route you take, where you stop over and all that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you go home to visit for a 20-hour flight, how often do you normally stay for your visits?
How do I stay?
No, how often, how long do you stay?
How do I stay in the country, you mean, when I go?
No, I mean, do you stay for a week? Do you stay for 3 weeks? Do you stay for a month?
No, usually because, you know, the flight is long, like you said, it's very expensive to go. So when you plan a trip, you usually want to stay at least 1 month, but it depends on what you do here. If you can get, you know, your leave, yeah. I usually stay at least 1 month, you know, from 4 to 5 weeks.
Well, that is wonderful. What is the capital of Rwanda?
The capital of Rwanda is called Kigali.
Kigali?
It's called Kigali.
Kigali.
Yes.
Kigali. That's
Yes,
terrific.
yeah.
What type of accommodations would I expect if I were to go to Rwanda?
Okay, if you're in Kigali or in, you know, in other cities, you can find apartments. You have single houses. You know, same goes if you go in rural areas. You'll find maybe a little smaller houses, but still single houses and apartments. So we are trying to modernize. We have a lot of apartments. We never used to have a lot of those, but now, of course, the population is increasing. So you need more apartments so you can accommodate more people.
So it's becoming more westernized, or has it always been?
Well, it's becoming more. Like
Okay.
many African countries, yes, we're trying to catch up.
Well, that's fantastic. Now let's talk about some of the foods, something that is very dear to me. I love to eat. What are some of the foods that you recommend for someone to, if they're visiting Rwanda for the first time?
Okay, if you're visiting Rwanda, try everything. But what I can, you know, our staple foods, we eat a lot of banana, green bananas. You know,
Plantains?
yeah, plantains, you can fry them, but we have green, you know, normal green bananas that you
Oh.
cook and mash, like how we cook mashed potatoes in this country. We use a lot of bananas, and then we eat a lot of potatoes as well. So you can try that. We do a lot of barbecuing, but, you know, in a different way. So if you go to Rwanda, make sure you taste the barbecue. We call it brochette. We borrowed the name from French.
Okay.
Yeah, so make sure you eat that. Taste our beans. We eat a lot of beans.
What kind of beans? Are we talking about pork and beans, great northern beans? What type of beans are we talking about?
We're talking about Rwandan beans. No. Yeah, we have a variety of beans, but we eat a lot of beans. Yeah.
So it sounds like you have a starch type of diet, because the bananas that are green are usually starchy. Instead of before they turn yellow, they become sweeter.
Yes.
The sugar becomes more intense. And then you have the beans, which are starch, and the potatoes.
We eat a lot of vegetables as well. What we don't eat as much is meat. We don't eat meat. I mean, we do eat brochette, like I said, you know, the barbecue, but we don't. That is something that you eat on special occasions, or for people who go out. If you go out to a bar, or, you know, that's what you are likely to eat. So it's like a treat. Meat is like a treat, but we usually eat a lot of beans and a lot of vegetables.
Well, that's wonderful. You mentioned that you took the term for your barbecue from France, or from the French culture. Why is that? What is the French, is there a French influence in your country?
Yes, because Rwanda was colonized by Belgium, so that's how we ended up, you know, having French and kind of copy a little bit of their culture. Maybe a lot, depends on where you are in the country. So that's why we borrowed that name, like I said.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, is France the native language of your country, or is there another language?
Our native language is Kinyarwanda. That's the language that the majority in the country, almost everybody actually, if you are, you know, almost everybody speaks Kinyarwanda. And then we also speak Swahili. So the people who are not educated mostly speak Kinyarwanda and Swahili. The educated speak French and English. English is one of our official languages as well. French was an official language, but since 2008, you know, it was changed. French is no longer official language, but you still have a lot of people who speak French in Rwanda. Yeah, but you know, the two languages that are really common is Kinyarwanda, our mother
Okay.
tongue, and Kiswahili.
Okay.
Yes.
Could you say something for our viewers in Swahili? Say hello, everyone.
Habari gani?
Thank you. That's awesome. That's
I can
awesome.
also say something in Kinyarwanda since
Oh,
we're
please
talking
do.
about Rwanda. So
Yes.
yeah, I can say amakuru. That means how are you?
How do you say it again?
Amakuru.
Amakuru.
Yeah. And you say nimeza. That means I'm fine.
Imeza.
Nimeza.
Nemeza. That's awesome. So, what is the economy like in Rwanda?
The economy in Rwanda depends largely on agriculture.
Okay.
But of course, other sectors are catching up as well because Rwanda is now peaceful. Like I said, Rwanda is one of the safest countries in the world. So we have tourism is increasing as well. The sector is is growing, and then we also have mining, is also growing. But mostly we still depend mostly on agriculture.
Now, what type of mining? Are we talking diamonds?
No, we have a little bit of gold.
Okay.
Yeah, we have coltan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. And what kind of money is used there?
We use Rwandan francs, just like how French people they are now abandoning it. They're no longer using it, but we call it Rwandan francs.
So, what is it going to? What is your currency going to if you're abandoning the French?
No, I was just comparing it to French franc.
Okay.
They used to use franc, but they don't use it. But in Rwanda, we call it franc. I was just
Oh, yeah,
giving
still
a
just
reference
use the
for it.
same name.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. And what is the exchange rate for a Rwandan franc
Okay. Yeah.
in American money?
Right. The rate does fluctuate, but usually it's about 600 Rwandan. $1 is equal to 600 Rwandan francs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. That is awesome. Now, how long has Rwanda been independent? Because you did say it was colonized by Belgium,
Right.
and I believe Germany also was one of the first colonizers of your country.
Right.
So how long has it been independent?
Rwanda has been independent since 1962. Yeah, and Belgium was the last ones to leave, so Rwanda got its independence from Belgium in 1962.
Well, that is terrific.
Right.
That's terrific. Does Rwanda have a political system, a democracy like we do in the U.S.?
Yeah, we do actually have democracy, even though that term can be used relatively. But yeah, Rwanda is a republic. We have president and the cabinet, cabinet ministers. We also have a legislative branch, and then we also have judicial branch. So it's almost like in America. But if you say, is it a democracy? It depends on whom you ask. Some people say yes, it's a democracy because people get to choose their leaders. But there's some people who are not happy about that. They'll say the opposition people don't get really a chance to really contest in the real elections. So they would say it's not a democracy.
Right.
So it depends on how you look at it. But Rwanda is a democracy, is a republic.
And how often do you hold elections, or are there elections that are held?
Yeah, we do every 7 years.
Oh, every 7
Yeah.
years. Okay, that's terrific. Now, tell us about the ethnic groups in Rwanda. Are there any, is it just one type of Rwandan, or are there other types of ethnic groups?
We have 3 groups, but we do hesitate to call them ethnic because we share the same culture. We have the same, a common language. We share everything. There's nothing that really differentiates us. So
Okay.
we just call ourselves groups. And then we have, we have the Hutus. Those are the majority. Then you have Tutsis. And then we have a small minority. They are called Twa.
Okay. Well, that's wonderful. Now, do each group live in different regions of the country, or
No.
do you just
No,
all
we
live
just
together?
we just mingle, we intermarry, we just live together.
That is terrific. What type of animals are in Rwanda? Because when we often think, as an American, when I think of Africa as general, I see or I picture elephants running around the plains.
Right.
What animals are in Rwanda?
Yeah, of course you don't have them running around everywhere. You have park. We have a national park, so you would find there elephants, like you said. You find giraffes. We have a lot of buffaloes. You have I'm trying to think of an hippos. We have hippos as well. So we have a variety. But one of the animals that you really find in Rwanda that you might not find in many other areas, we have mountain gorillas in Rwanda.
Mountain gorillas,
Yes, we do
really?
have them. They're endangered now, but we do have them in Rwanda, and that's one of our tourism attraction.
Okay, so are they protected?
Yes,
Since they are
protected.
endangered?
Yes, they are protected. Yeah, you have to have a limited number of visitors. Yeah.
Right. But that is wonderful.
Right.
Now, when the show started, we heard some fantastic music, and I really noticed the percussions in the music. So tell us about some of the drum beats that I heard in that particular song.
Yeah, what you are, drums are one of our main instruments. Our music is largely drums, and you have people singing. But of course, now you have the younger generation trying to gravitate towards Western music. So what they do is just mix, for example, hip hop and then put Rwandan lyrics. But usually, for the majority of the people in the country, we use drums a lot, and then we enjoy traditional music.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, that is amazing. Thank you for your visit. And I hope the audience learned something today about Rwanda,
Right.
because I've learned a great deal.
I'm glad you did.
And I'm sure if people wanted to learn more about it, they can watch the movie Hotel Rwanda, or they can Google your country and just learn so much about it.
Go to Rwanda. Don't use just Hotel Rwanda. You won't learn. You'll learn the past. We want you to learn the present.
Positive.
Yes.
Focus on the positive,
Yeah,
focus
positive.
on the present.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that we are about finished. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just want people to know that Rwanda is peaceful, like I said at the beginning. Don't focus on Hotel Rwanda again. We are beautiful people. We love people. We love visitors in Rwanda. It's safe now. You're not likely to be mugged. You're not likely to find people running around with machetes, after each other. No, we don't do that. We learn out, the hard way. We now love each other. We agree to coexist. We are rebuilding the country together, and then it's showing. It's really beautiful and positive.
That's fantastic.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Felicia, for giving me this opportunity.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm Felicia Thompson, and this has been another edition of our show. This has been another edition of our show, and I'm just fascinated about your country.
I'm glad you are. We want many people to be, and then just go visit and see.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Go visit and see.
See you next time. This is Felicia.